amazing! What? Frieza has a new form!
I know gold's a bit gauche, but I wanted to ensure you grasp my new position atop the pecking order. And for the sake of your feeble mind, let's keep the name simple as well. We'll call this Golden Frieza.
Throughout the history of Dragon Ball, it has managed to tell us some pretty crazy stories. Some good, some mid, and one that I find in particular to be pretty awful. If you like this arc, more power to you. But for me personally, I think it's probably the worst arc in Dragon Ball. I appreciate the fact that this movie helped make Dragon Ball Super become a reality, but I don't know. Looking back, this wasn't that great upon rewatch. The movie or arc I'm referring to is Resurrection F from Dragon Ball Super. This arc upon rewatch just feels like a waste of time, almost as if it was filler, because nothing really progresses with the overall story. Aside from that though, I have some of my own issues with this arc that makes me not like it compared to the others. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into some of my points. If you want my honest thoughts on the story, I think it's just whatever really. Throughout the whole movie, it rehashes a lot of things that we've already seen before. But this is like the last thing that I'm really upset about with this movie. What really pisses me off is the overall narrative shit that the story decides to take. There's a lot of them, but I'll speak on the ones that really pissed me off the most, or we'll be here all day. So, in this movie, Frieza is brought back again. Now, I get it, he's a very popular villain in Dragon Ball, but this is like the millionth time that he's been brought back, canon or not. When I heard this movie coming out back in the day, I was left underwhelmed as I expected something new from the franchise. The movie prior to this one, Battle of the Gods, made me hope that this series will explore the other gods and universes, but instead we're given Frieza to be revived again. You want to know what's worse though? For the trillionth time, his character gets treated as a joke. Every time they manage to bring back Frieza in the story, they always make him out to be one of the dumbest villains ever. They bring him back only to think that he has the fighting chance with the power that he has, then shortly after they kill him off. So not only is this really predictable, but it's like really fucking annoying. The way he was handled in the Tournament of Power was a lot better because for once he actually manages to do something. Being revived again is nothing new, but helping the Z-Fighters was at least something refreshing. For the longest time, we were under the assumption that Piccolo was the wisest Z-Fighter, but after the Cell arc, he somehow managed to make himself the most useless. We're always being shown that he keeps up with his training, but the results never led him to progress as a warrior. This continued to be a recurring issue from the Buu arc up until the most recent superhero movie. For some reason, Piccolo was always tossed to the side in the favor of the others, and I found that to be pretty annoying. He works just as much, if not harder than the other Z-Fighters, but was still nowhere near close to a Gohan who had a hard time staying in his Super Saiyan form. And speaking of Gohan, why did they tarnish his entire character so hard here? He goes from being one of the strongest non-fused characters to someone who couldn't even sustain a punch from first form Frieza. Before someone comments the obvious, I am aware that Gohan stopped training during this arc, but why is that always the case with him? Since the Buu arc, hell even the most recent superhero movie, Gohan has been told by pretty much everyone that he needs to take his training seriously to prepare himself for the next threat, but somehow he just never takes that advice. Well, it's been stated that Gohan doesn't like to fight. Well, yeah, I know that. But the writers continue to include him in the story, and if they're going to do that, then Gohan needs to train. Otherwise, if he doesn't, then we're going to keep seeing this recycled trend and it's eventually going to get annoying. I want to see Gohan progress as a character, not regress. What should have happened with these two characters in this arc is that both Gohan and Piccolo should have continued to train off screen, especially after facing a god that was way more powerful than them. After that, the story would go on as normal, but towards the henchman fight, we would see Gohan and Piccolo barely trying against them. This would impress Frieza, and thus starting a fight between them in his first form. It will be an interesting one, but eventually Gohan and Piccolo will get the slight edge in the fight, annoying Frieza. Thus, this would make him transform into his final form, completely changing the fight. And then afterwards, this is when the Z-Fighters would call Goku and Vegeta for help and so on and so forth. It's not perfect, but I think it would be way more interesting to see than Gohan being regressed and being one-tapped by a suppressed Frieza. Golden Frieza is fine, I guess, but I really don't like Super Saiyan Blue. If you want to see my full explanation on why, I'll link it in the description below. But to keep it brief, I hate that it just comes out of nowhere and overshadows Super Saiyan God. I know that they trained to reach this form, but we barely got the chance to see what Super Saiyan God was fully capable of, considering that in the Battle Gods movie, Goku didn't have a full grasp on the form. In my honest opinion, this form should have been introduced later in the series. I love Beerus and Whis, but I think they completely killed the tension in this arc. It's cool that they grew in an alliance with the Z Fighters, but I wish that they didn't get too friendly with them, because what this does is give the Z Fighters a get out of free card just in case something gets out of hand. We all know that Beerus is stronger than Goku and Whis is stronger than Beerus, so with them showing up in this arc gave us a clear indication that Frieza was completely outmatched in almost every regard, which again comes off as annoying and predictable. I love both of these characters, don't get it twisted, but I wish they showed up on rare occasions. Now let's get into the infamous ending. Say what you want about the Goku Black arc, but I consider this one to be even worse. After Goku drops his guard, Vegeta steps in to finish the fight, which seemed to be pretty cool considering the fact that throughout Vegeta's life, he has been humiliated by Frieza. So him getting the dub on this one was completely warranted, but because this is Resurrection F in Vegeta's fight, we just cannot have nice things. At the last second, Frieza manages to sneak in one more attack to blow up the entire planet, killing all of Livelihood and Vegeta in the process. Why did they write this? This scene was clearly written for Whis to debut his temporal do-over technique, which is cool and all, but as I stated earlier with Super Saiyan Blue, this could have been introduced way later in the series, because what this scene does is rob a win that Vegeta completely deserved. Everything was perfect, wrapped up in a bow and all despite the amount of issues this arc already had, but it just had to come crumbling down with this abysmal ending. With all of that being said, this is why I think Resurrection F is the worst arc in Dragon Ball. From the concept alone and all the small minor details I pointed out, it makes this arc not that enjoyable to watch. If you skip this arc and move on to the Universe 6 tournament, I promise you that you won't miss a thing. It's a complete waste of time and something I think shouldn't happen in a Dragon Ball story. I believe that if this arc was written better or didn't happen overall, it would have made Dragon Ball Super a lot more impactful than it is now, as it would continue to build the franchise with its characters, forms, and everything else in between. But what do you guys think? Do you guys beg to differ, or is my opinion warranted? Let me know in the comments below.